All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're stepping inside the ropes to break down two of the absolute titans of striking, Muay Thai and boxing. We're going to go way beyond just the surface-level differences and really dig into why they evolved the way they did, how their rules, their history, and their core philosophies created two totally different answers to the exact same question.
And that's the question, isn't it? At the end of the day, both of these incredible disciplines are trying to solve this one puzzle. But as we're about to see, the paths they took to get there are fascinatingly different and, equally brilliant.
You can really get a feel for their whole approach just from their nicknames. On one side, you've got boxing, called the sweet science. It just sounds precise, doesn't it? It's all about mastering a very specific set of tools to perfection. And then you have Muay Thai, the art of 8 limbs. That name alone tells you you're dealing with a much, much bigger toolbox.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the big picture, then zoom in on the fundamentals, like the stance and the different arsenals. We're even going to do a super nerdy scientific deep dive on the mechanics of a knee. After that, we'll look at how the rules themselves actually shape the fighter, and finally, bring it all together to see how these arts are evolving today.
Okay, first up, A Tale of Two Strikers. This is all about that core idea we mentioned. One problem, two very different solutions forged by completely different circumstances.
And this, right here, is the absolute ground zero difference. Boxing is the art of mastering 2 points of contact, your 2 fists. It is a deep, specialized, beautiful science. Muay Thai, though, it just blows the doors open. It says, okay, let's use our fists, but also our elbows, our knees, and our shins. You go from 2 weapons to 8. And that single change, well, it changes absolutely everything.
And that change starts from the ground up. Literally. It all begins with the fighter's stance, which is the foundation for every single thing they do.
Now, what's so cool about this is how everything has a purpose. A boxer stands bladed, sideways, right? That makes them a smaller target for punches. They put more weight on their back leg, so they can pivot and slip and get out of the way in a flash. The Muay Thai fighter, on the other hand, is more square, more planted. Their weight is even. Why? Because they need to be ready to throw a powerful kick or check an incoming kick without getting knocked off balance. It's that classic trade-off, pure mobility versus unshakable stability.
And this quote just nails it. The stance isn't some static pose you hold. No way. It is your entire operating system. It dictates every single option you have, offensively and defensively, from one second to the next.
So, building on that foundation, let's talk about the arsenal itself. We're going to look at how each art actually uses its weapons, focusing on their rhythm and their defense.
When you think about boxing, you probably think of those smooth, flowing combinations, the 1-2-3, the jab, cross, hook. It's got a rhythm, a steady beat designed to overwhelm you with constant pattern pressure. Muay Thai is completely different. Because you can throw a punch, then a kick, then an elbow, the rhythm is constantly broken. It's unpredictable. The goal isn't just to overwhelm, it's to completely shatter your opponent's timing.
Now, this next part is a huge deal when it comes to defense. In boxing, head movement is life. You live and die by your ability to slip, roll, and bob and weave. But if you try that in a Muay Thai fight, you are in for a very bad time. You dip your head down to slip a punch, and bam! You run right into a knee or a shin coming up to meet you. So the boxer's #1 survival tool becomes a massive liability for the Nak Muay.
Okay, now we're going to get granular, like really granular. To really see the difference in mechanics, we're going to put one single iconic Muay Thai technique under the microscope, the knee from the clinch.
And to do that, we're going to talk about kinematics. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Basically, it's just the pure physics of how things move. It lets us break a strike down into hard data, angles, speeds, acceleration, and see exactly how a fighter generates all that power.
So researchers at Bridgewater State University did something pretty awesome. They suited up martial artists with motion capture markers, like they use for CGI in movies, to measure every tiny detail of the knee strike with incredible precision.
And what they found is fascinating. Just look at the difference in the hip angle based on the type of clinch. When a fighter has a double collar tie, meaning they're controlling their opponent's head, their hips open up more. But when they have double underhooks controlling the body, that angle gets much tighter. It's a perfect scientific confirmation of something fighters feel intuitively. Tiny changes in position create huge changes in mechanics. But here's the real kicker. They found a statistically huge difference in the speed of the knee between a fighter's dominant and non-dominant leg. So what does P equals 0.00 even mean?
Well, in the world of science, that's basically a slam dunk. It means the result is so clear, there's virtually zero chance it's a random fluke. It shows just how complex these motor skills are, and that even in highly trained athletes, these subtle imbalances are real and measurable. All right, so we've been deep in the weeds of physics. Let's pull back up to the big picture. Because at the end of the day, what shapes a fighter more than anything isn't just biomechanics, it's the rules of the game. The judging criteria are like the invisible architect of an entire fighting style.
I mean, it's really this simple. You tell a fighter what scores points and how to win, and they will build their entire game around doing exactly that. You change the rules, you change the fighter. Period.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The data backs this up completely. A study actually compared fights scored with a boxing-style system to those scored under traditional Thai rules. And the result was crystal clear. As you can see right here, the Thai system led to way more techniques being thrown. The rules themselves literally create a more active fight.
So why is that? Well, it's because the Thai system explicitly rewards all the things we associate with Muay Thai. You score more for throwing a lot of attacks, for staying on balance, for mixing up your techniques, and for landing those clean, powerful, and, yeah, visually spectacular shots. The style is a direct product of what the judges are told to look for.
And that brings us right up to today, to the modern era, where those hard lines between the arts are getting blurrier and blurrier. The best fighters out there aren't purist anymore. They're creating something new.
You can see this evolution happening in real time. You'll see elite Muay Thai fighters start using that slick boxing head movement and footwork to cut angles and set up their shots. And on the flip side, you'll see boxers who cross over into kickboxing or MMA immediately adopt that more upright, stable Muay Thai stance so they don't get chopped down by kicks.
And look, this kind of blending isn't some new thing. It's part of a long tradition. You can trace it back to the legendary karate versus Muay Thai clashes in the 60s that basically gave birth to Japanese kickboxing. Then you saw Muay Thai spread all over the globe, and today you see it in its ultimate form in MMA, where fighters are weaving the best of both worlds into one seamless, devastating style.
So, we're left with this final thought. It brings us all the way back to that first question. How do you build the perfect striker? And maybe that was the wrong question all along. If the rules are always shifting and every opponent is a different puzzle, then maybe the perfect striker isn't a master of any one style. Maybe, just maybe, the perfect striker is simply the one who can adapt to anything.